Judith Moritz has done a little timeline on of notes and emails that have been revealed in the Thirlwall inquiry. And this is a BBC article. The problem is she's getting a lot of flack for it, but I suspect I'm going to cut her a little bit of slack, because I suspect the BBC have said to her, they must have said to her, look, you can only make it a 1 minute or 2 minute read, and she's had to compress everything into a couple of minutes, and so this timeline has got less branches on it than my family's 30-year-old Christmas tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out the timeline for you. This is going to be quite a long one and quite content rich, so just so you know. She has actually been a little bit naughty in a couple of places saying that. So she's starting off 8th of June, baby A's death. I'm actually going to pre-date that. Can we go? This is 2015. So February 2015. We'll put this in first. There was a risk assessment for the neonatal unit, quite high risk. There are staff shortages according to the BAPM guideline for staffing neonatal units. This has been inputted on the risk register and highlighted as an outstanding issue. On top of that, May 2015, so before the first death, we are at high level risk in neonatology for Pseudomonas in taps. Pseudomonas is a bacteria. Okay, so death of baby A. In June 2015, a baby boy dies and his twin sister becomes seriously ill. Okay. Okay. Baby followed shortly by baby C and baby D. Now here she's been a little bit naughty. So she's quoted, "There does not seem to be any staff present at all 3 episodes other than one nurse." That's an email from Dr. Stephen Brearey. But let's look at the full context. In regard to the 3 deaths, all deaths occurred in room 1, our intensive care room, but in different cot spaces. Incidentally, in room 1 in June 2015, there was a sewage leak in room 1 as well. Okay. All deaths occurred in room 1, our intensive care room. There does not seem to be any staff, medical or nursing members present at all 3 episodes other than one nurse, who was not the nurse responsible for child D on that shift. So she's cut out that bit for some reason. Okay, let's move on. I mean, I quite like the idea of doing this timeline. I've been meaning to do one myself, so I'm just going to fill it up, and then of course at the end I'm going to regret that I've missed things out, but at least it's going to be a bit more detailed than what Judith Moritz has done. Okay, consultant makes a discovery. So where are we? I've got child E's death. August, death of baby E. In August, another baby dies and his twin brother falls dangerously ill. More babies have now died on the neonatal unit than would be normal for an entire year. But just again, put that in context. This baby, E, was 29 weeks gestation, infant at high risk of necrotizing enterocolitis, I think that was. Likely to have died from a perforated bowel secondary to NEC. Next I've got October. So off we go. September, death of baby I. 4 more babies die by the end of the year. Doctors on the neonatal unit are worried something is not right. Senior Dr. Stephen Brearey takes his concerns to Letby's line manager Erin Powell. She pulls together a spreadsheet listing all the babies who have died and the nurses on duty. I don't think this is this. I think she's got the timeline wrong for that spreadsheet. Actually, I mean, she made a table. Okay, so where are we? October. So here we are. Also, an email from Erin Powell to Steve in October 2015. I've devised a document to reflect the information clearly, as it is unfortunate that she was on Lucy. However, each cause of death was different. Some were poorly prior to their arrival on the unit, and the other were NEC or gastric bleeding or congenital abnormalities. I've attached the document for your perusal. Okay, fast forward to early 2016 and 3 more babies have died. Consultant paediatrician Ravi Jayaram enters the intensive care unit. Okay, yes, she's been a bit naughty here. This there's no record of this happening. This is something that Ravi Jayaram later on claims happened, but this is over a year later he claims this happened, so there's actually no record of this happening from the Thirlwall inquiry. Quite the opposite, actually. So fast forward to early 2016, 3 more babies have died. So I want to fill in a bit more before we get to 2016. So October 2015, so Erin Powell said it was decided that it was necessary to create a table that includes all the doctors that was involved in the deceased patients on the unit. This would then ensure that all avenues have been addressed. In other words, I think what she's referring to is not just the nurses. Okay, early January 2016. Just an FYI, just to give you an overview of what's going on in the ward. Child D, a letter from the solicitors. They want to hold a full report into the death of child D. So this was one of the 3 first deaths. During the course of your letter, you submit that the evidence suggests that had different courses of treatment been employed, child D's death would probably have been avoided. That, in my view, overstates the existing evidence, which suggests only the death might have been avoided. So they're going to hold a full inquest into the death due to suboptimal care of child D, and that's the coroner. So the coroner's not happy with the way child D was treated. Not to do with Lucy. Okay, so the next one we've got is we need to talk about Lucy. But I need to fill in some more in this timeline. So Steve had made a list of the baby deaths and had a apparent, I can't see this list, but apparently I'm guessing he only included the ones that Lucy was on shift for. So I've inferred that is what happened. Arian says, I have amended the last list to ensure that we have included all of the babies that have died on the unit within this time frame. Kind regards, Arian. Child A as well, so this was obviously the first death. The coroner has also requested that they consider completing a serious unintended incident report due to the complications in the long line and the catheter insertion. You can have a look at some of my videos about the inquest of Child A. So again, the coroner's not happy with the way that he believes the death of Child A and the way that it was treated. The family also has raised some questions that they would like answering, which are attached, and we will be approaching Dr. Salidi, Dr. J. Aram, and possibly Dr. Davies to answer these questions. The coroner has also requested that we obtain reports from all paediatric doctors involved in the patient's care. So if you remember, Child A had the doctor failed to put the UVC line in a couple of times wrong, and then also put the long line in incorrectly, and then shortly after the long line was activated, the child collapsed. So like I actually came, it doesn't take, you don't need any medical knowledge to put two and two together that there were some problems with the long line. As soon as it got activated, the patient, the baby suffered an arrest. I mean, it doesn't take much particular knowledge to add those two together. And then what after that? Steve Brearey actually denies this. Steve Brearey this week, in relation to the thematic neonatal review that has been undertaken, a copy of which is attached. You will see from the review that it's concluded in Child A's case that the line-related complications, peripheral long line and UVC, were very unlikely to have caused arrest. So just so you know, Brearey disputes what the coroner's saying. I mean, and ultimately what Dr. Shuley and his team believe that the death was due to complications of the long line and thrombosis. So yeah, we still need to talk. We've got to hire, and we still need to talk about Lucy. There's a nurse on the unit that's been present for quite a few of the deaths and other arrests. So that's May. Judith is up to May. I'm still on March here, so let's go back a bit. So again, Arian Powell says to Steve Brearey, by the way, Lucy commenced working on the neonatal unit in January 2012, where there weren't an increase in deaths. So she didn't start working in 2015, so there should be no link between Lucy and the deaths. April. An email again from Arian Powell. Hi Alison, I was wondering what your thoughts were after going through the thematic review. I noticed that the thematic review did not include the medical team that were involved. I've therefore attached a document that includes this. So again, we can infer from this that Steve Brearey was only including the nurses. Okay. As a nurse on the unit, it's been present for quite a few deaths and other arrests. Arian is set to put on day shifts at the moment, but can't do this indefinitely. Okay. The hospital's leadership is now aware that Letby's shifts have been changed. When Dr. Brearey's email lands, it seems to prompt panic. May 4th. Can you please look into this? If there is a staff trend here and we have already changed her shift pattern because of this, then this is potentially very serious. Within minutes, Dr. Brearey's email is forwarded to another nursing boss, Karen Reese. Hi Karen. So from Kelly Allison. Hi Karen, please see attached. Not sure you have had previous sight of this. Lucy Letby highlighted in red. I have not noticed this when I first reviewed. Can you please look into this as per my previous email? Hours later, she also forwards the spreadsheet listing the deaths with Letby's name all over it. Judith Moritz didn't include the spreadsheet on her little timeline, so here it is. There's Lucy Letby. So purple is on. You might have seen this on my channel before. Purple is on shift. White is if you were on shift, the shift before the collapse of the baby. So Lucy Letby was on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 11. 8 out of 11. However, where it says here working hours, it did not include her overtime. Yet, despite being alerted to what looks like a very alarming staff trend with Letby on shift at every baby death, Letby on shift at every baby death, that's not what the table said. In a meeting called a month later, concerns among managers appear to have dissipated. Well, she skipped over a little bit there, so let's take a look at why perhaps the concerns dissipated. Neonatal review. 2015 to 2016 from Arian Powell. There is no evidence, so 5th of May. There is no evidence whatsoever against Lucy Letby other than coincidence. Lucy Letby works full-time and has the QIS. She is therefore more likely to be looking after the sickest infant on the unit. Lucy also avows herself to work overtime when the acuity or unit is over capacity. There are no performance management issues, and there are no members of staff that have complained to me or others regarding her performance. I have found Lucy to be diligent and have excellent standards within the clinical area. Whilst our mortality rate has risen in January 2015 to January 2016, we have had 3 times mortalities from January 16 to date. Times 2 died due to congenital abnormalities. I think they mean +3 mortalities, and 2 of them died due to congenital abnormalities. Dr. H. Harkness and Dr. G. can't remember, consultant Gibbs appears to be involved in many of the mortalities. The Cheshire and Mersey Transport Service have been involved in a few of these mortalities, and they may have survived if the service was running adequately. 7. Alderhayes Children's Hospital's failure in facilitating a cot also added to the complexities of these mortalities. If there had been a bed sooner, the infant may not have died. 8. Some of these issues were related to midwifery problems. 9. 2 of the babies' post-mortems diagnosed congenital pneumonia, which is a transport team issue. 10. 4 babies had congenital abnormalities. 1 maternal syndrome. 2 with necrotizing enterocolitis. 1 with overwhelming sepsis. Again, that was a transport team issue. AHCH cot availability. 6 admissions between Liverpool Women's Hospital, is that Alderhay, and Countess of Chester Hospital. 15. Of all the post-mortem results, there was no evidence of foul play. Actions. A debrief was held for all staff involved in the mortalities. Dr. Brearey, Debbie Peacock and myself have reviewed all the mortalities. A thematic review was held and led by an external neonatologist, Nim Subadar, from the Level 3 unit at Liverpool Women's Hospital. These mortalities have also been highlighted to the ODN and discussed at the meetings. Debbie Peacock was aware of the commonalities of both the nursing and medical staff. In order to ensure that we support this particular practitioner, I have brought her on to days to ensure that she is well supported. I have included her shift pattern since January 2016. Any profound event is monitored closely, irrespective of members of staff involved. But as Judith Moritz puts it, concern among managers appear to have dissipated. I wonder why. Notes taken to Alison Kelly show Letby's name linked to 6 baby incidents, but this is regarded as circumstantial, as other possible explanations are being explored. Letby is still working on the neonatal ward. Dr. Brearey asked the other consultants to tell him or Letby's manager if they see a baby who deteriorates suddenly or unexpectedly. What have I got to? I'm just going to add in here. So 11 by 11th of May, 11 babies have now died, but it's still almost a year before police are contacted. And I just want to add also here, so June 2016, Ravi Jayaram emails to everybody what we believe to be Dr. Shuley's air embolism article, and Dr. Gibbs thanks him for it. However, basically says it doesn't really match, and you'd have to look at further X-rays. So is it worth looking at the X-rays taken for the past year or so? And as far as I know, nothing of that materialised. Okay, and here we go. So this is the first time suspicions about Letby deliberately harming babies have crossed the desk of the hospital's most senior bosses, but he gives a cautious response. I'm going to stop there, and I'll do a part 2 tomorrow.